We still got more Assassin's Creed Mirage gameplay related news to report, and this time we're going to discuss the third pillar of the game, that is the Assassinations, while also sharing one final bit from our interview with art director Jean-Luc Salah. In the video we're going to discuss the Black Box Assassination missions in the game, the return of the Assassin, or shall we say Hidden Ones bureaus, a new dynamic quest board that will allow players to investigate their targets, the improvements to the assassinations themselves, and way more. We're also going to discuss some more miscellaneous news, including the confirmation Mirage was meant to be a DLC, some more information about the scope and length of the game, and the absence of any DLC planned for it. So once again, we have so much to discuss. Let's dive into the latest news about Assassin's Creed Mirage. So, in our previous videos we have delved into the news about two of the main pillars of Mirage, that is stealth and recently parkour, with all the comparisons to Unity. But of course, one pillar of the game remains, so let's talk about the assassinations in the game. We do know already that the main assassination missions in Mirage will follow the Black Box missions format introduced with Unity. See, even we can't stop mentioning it. So yes, fans can expect specific opportunities and special paths to reach and take down their targets. Narrative director Sarah Beaulieu recently mentioned that in Mirage these missions will provide different opportunities and way to approach, hunt, and kill the targets, which will also include stealth and face-on approaches. Moreover, as it was in the past, the Black Box missions will be tied to a specific location of the city and will be oriented to killing a specific target. But how are Basim and the player going to access these missions? According to Eurogamer, Basim will find a network of assassin bureaus throughout Baghdad. And make no mistake, these shouldn't be the ruins of ancient bureaus like the ones seen in Valhalla, but some active and living ones as shown in Assassin's Creed 1 and Origins, which is another element that will surely bring back memories from the early games of the franchise. More specifically, Basim will be tasked with reopening the Hidden One bureaus around the city, so I guess we might still see some abandoned bureaus at the beginning, but some of them will be reopened only after assassinating a high-level target first. Moreover, it seems like there's going to be one Hidden Ones bureau per district of the city, meaning a total of 4 Hidden Ones bureaus, or 3 or 5, depending whether the Hidden Ones are actually going to have a bureau within the round city or within the sub-district of Sharqiya. It is in these bureaus that Basim is going to be able to get upgrades and obtain new assassination contracts and clues on his targets, and assassination contracts, if I got it correctly, will be the in-game name for the main assassination / black box missions, rather than the normal assassination contracts from the Ezio games, which were just additional assassination side missions scattered across the map. At the same time though, Game Informer instead reports that Basim would pick up the main targeted assignments at Alamut, which would be another homage to the original Assassin's Creed game. So it's still not super clear how the missions will be structured, but Global Esport News 2 confirms that the bureaus will be the starting point of the missions. That's where Basim is going to meet his contact and plan the next steps needed to assassinate a high-level target. So considering Mirage is a homage to AC1, we can imagine that Basim will get the main direction and set of targets at Alamut like Altair did in Masyaf, then he will have to get to Baghdad to the various bureaus and from there start his actual hunt for the targets. Basim will also be able to find clues about his targets, not clear whether he'll find them only in the assassin bureaus or within the city too, before taking them down during the assassination missions. All of this will seemingly be tracked in a new quote-unquote dynamic quest board, which will give players the sense of investigating the targets before killing them, as producer Fabian Salamon told IGN Latino America. In an interview with GameSpot, art director Jean-Luc Salah stated that the bureaus will provide activities such as investigating, identifying targets, and then identifying the boundaries of the black box and see what happens there. The areas will be filled with guards, so players will have to be stealthy, bide their time to look around before making decisions and approach one of the multiple ways to take down the target. But as we mentioned in our previous videos, we also know that there won't just be a focus on the assassination missions, but also on the assassinations themselves, as most of the assassination animations for Mirage will be completely new. In the interview with GameSpot, Salah also discussed the so-called assassin focus ability, which will allow Basim to assassinate several targets in quick succession, and in that interview he stated that the ability will be an upgradable one, with Basim being able to use it only on 2 enemies at the beginning and later being able to kill more than 2. It's going to be a rechargeable ability, meaning that players won't be able to use it at all times, but still, it will be a useful tool when trying to assassinate more than one nearby enemy. So we have discussed the 3 pillars of Mirage and the news that have been shared about them, but there's still some more miscellaneous news about the game that we have tried to gather here. For example, it was confirmed by the devs that Mirage was indeed originally thought to be an expansion for Valhalla, but that idea really lasted only for a few weeks and only during the conceptual phase of the game. In fact, apparently the team was really eager to actually do a standalone game, especially after they set on having Basim as the main character. It was also stated that the idea of a Valhalla DLC only lived on paper, with no actual production about it, and it had a different main character, which I'd imagine was going to be Eivor, or maybe somebody else entirely. Nonetheless, once the devs set on what game they wanted to create, they did decide which games they wanted to use as inspiration and that they wanted to pay tribute to, as it was reported in multiple interviews. We already mentioned Assassin's Creed 1 for the setting and many gameplay and story elements, of course, Unity for what concerns parkour and the crowd size, plus the Ezio trilogy, but creative director Stéphane Boudon added that Mirage will feature many elements created after Origins, not only in terms of gameplay because of the combat system, but also because the game will tell more about Bayek and his legacy. And keeping to the topic of inspiration, along with the idea of having less fantasy in the game, art director Jean-Luc Salah did weigh in during our recent interview with him.
You mentioned that of course you took inspirations from AC1. Did you take inspiration also from other past games of the franchise, or like was AC1 the focus?
No, we looked a little bit to what happened in Constantinople.
Okay.
Istanbul, because Ezio came here, and there was some vibes about what we are going to do in the Grand Bazaar,
okay.
which is the souk, the place,
Yeah.
the marketplace. So. Yeah, and honestly, my favorite art direction ever in AC game is Origins.
Okay.
It's full of sand, it's full of sun, and this is very close to what we do, but we also intended not to be like that because it has been done. So
Okay.
we, again, something you loved, but you must bring something new. And so we were just like, this is so well done, how can we not compete but be one step? Not beyond, but a side step, doing
Okay.
something a little bit different. That's when we decided to not alter too much lighting and trying
Okay.
to keep a kind of natural feeling. To keep our game, we want our game to be more grounded, less
Yeah.
fantasy, more grounded. And we thought that not adding too much filters, color filters, or oversized stuff and stuff and such like and such. We had our own take on a visual AC game in its own, which is not just like usual routine of stuff. So in a way, you will find some camels, desert, caravans, stuff you've already seen, but it's going to feel different.
Another thing that will feel different than usual is the post-launch content for the game, or absence thereof. In an interview with Global Esports, creative director Stéphane Boudon stated that there are no DLCs planned for Mirage and that the only additional content planned for the game is the 40 Thieves pre-order quest, which will allude to the famous story from the 1001 Nights, and it will be similar in size to the Beowulf quest from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This means that currently there doesn't seem to be any story-related post-launch to the game, though it doesn't rule out any gameplay or bug fixes. But yeah, this also shows us the scope of the game even more clearly. And speaking of the scope of Mirage, creative director Stéphane Boudon told everyeye.it that the length of Mirage will be similar to that of Assassin's Creed 2 and Unity, which I don't think they are very much alike, but I guess the idea in general is to once again try and go back to how the original games felt. On the same topic, IGN asked executive producer Marc-Alexis Coté whether Mirage would be similar in length to the older games, citing a 15 to 20 hours length for the main story, to which Coté answered that yes, players should expect something that is closer to the original Assassin's Creed games. Curiously enough, as we already reported, art director Jean-Luc Salah also told GameSpot that the game will be the size of Assassin's Creed Rogue or Revelations, which again are not really anything alike in terms of size, with Baghdad's size being indeed the same as Unity's Paris, but with some additional wilderness around it, which wasn't the case in Paris. So yeah, a lot of comparisons to the original games to give us an idea about the scope of Mirage, which I think will be one of the key factors here, especially considering that there won't be any DLC planned for the game, meaning that after Mirage releases, it will likely be time to turn our minds to the Infinity platform and the future of Assassin's Creed, what with the upcoming Project Red and Project Hexa games and the modern day context surrounding them, all topics that we discussed in a dedicated video that you can see on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.